once again with our thanks for Minimist having sponsored this event. Over to you, Jordan.
Thanks, Robin. And really cool to hear from you, Ronan, as well. Sounds like it's been a huge, few years of work, but obviously takes a village with some dedicated volunteers, but obviously led by some pretty strategic thinking. So hats off to you from our end. My colleague Stefan has joined us as well. I think Stefan might be one of the last little floating heads on the screen. You there, Stefan?
I'm here. Hi guys, nice to see and or meet you for the ones I haven't met yet.
Cool. I think we might just need maybe 10 seconds to get our slides going, but we'll try to keep this thing rolling on time. It's incredible. First session in and we're already bang on time.
Yeah, I'll do a bit of presentation today. I mean, I get it, like Tuesday morning, Zoom like presentations, not always super easy. So we thought we would keep it quite interactive. Let's see if I can share. There we go. Can everyone see my screen? Looks good. Cool. So obviously, we're a software group. We aren't going to just make this one big sales pitch. We were really looking to also get feedback from the broader group. We were recently in Northern Ireland and met some charities there, which has gone quite great. But let's try and keep it interactive. We're trying to learn a lot from our customers and from the broader group. So yeah, I'm Stefan from Minimist. We are sort of this group of people who are mostly software people, but also now with some charity retail folks on board in the last years, and we're trying to help people help other people, which is you guys. You might have seen us around a little bit at the Charity Retail Association or in the various conferences and events and stuff. So we've been making our name a little bit, and we've also been in the neighborhood up in the north. I was in Belfast around 2 weeks ago, meeting with some cool charities who are getting started with Minimist. Love the vibe. I'm originally a Kiwi. I'm from New Zealand. Maybe you can hear that, and I always feel really well or I felt very well up there. Went to the pub. It was good. So yeah, look, we're a software company. Minimist sort of originated in the mind of a few of us who are, by background, machine learning engineers. We wanted to do something that is more meaningful than some finance software, or I don't know. There's lots of softwares that don't really bring a lot of value to the world, and yet in this space there is the possibility of helping causes that really matter, and that's a bit the origin. We have got a fair few customers now across the UK and also our Republic and in Europe to scan, price, tag, and do lots of automation around in-store pricing, as well as improving the velocity of your e-commerce operation. And I'll kind of switch it back a little bit towards the broader group, if that's all right. Maybe you can just post in the chat. I did join late, so maybe there are some existing discussions. But what are some challenges that you guys are facing? What are some things that are currently on your charities' mind? Feel free to also just put your hand up and shout it out in the meeting. No problems?
Could be regarding like trying to get online for the first time, or trying to get, I guess, the level of sales you would expected from going online, or finding enough volunteers for your shops, efficient pricing in the back room, stuff like this, just as potential jump off points. I guess a lot of our session today is built around the idea of identifying problems and then showing you some of the solutions. So anything is worthwhile conversation.
I'm guessing you're thinking mainly about problems associated with online selling. Are you IT related issues? Because well, is that what you're thinking of?
I'm thinking more like, for example, a number of charities that we've spoken with, they are trying to get a better bottom line, or getting better prices for their items, struggling either with sell-through of items in the shops or having the feeling that they're underpricing them. So we've heard a lot about accurate pricing. For the people who are sort of engaged in e-commerce, there's the classic challenges around listing speed, as well as like managing offers, Vinted, and like generally thinking about new marketplaces, having volunteers associated with the e-commerce process. Like we've heard lots of different stuff. So I just wanted to kind of get a bit of a vibe check, whether or not anyone had any specifics. Here we go.
You got one.
One
I mean,
problem.
I think if I think, Stefan, that everything you've said is very likely to ring true with most of the people on this call, actually. We have a mixture here of people who are quite large organizations like Cancer Research UK and Barnardo's who have a Northern Ireland presence, but we also have some smaller organizations who are Northern Ireland only. So it may be that the larger organizations have fewer of these problems, or it may not, but it would be very interesting to hear from them. I agree. And now you've got one from, uh, where is it from? Oh, from,
I think from
yeah,
Danielle.
from Foresight, Foresight are an Ireland-based charity.
Could you, and I don't want to call you out here, Danielle, I just want to understand what you mean by omni-channel customer. Is that like a customer that is buying both online from Foresight as well as in the shops?
Yeah, so we have an online presence through eBay, Vinted. So it's just trying to get our customer to be, to realize that they can purchase online as well. And we do sort of like advertise it across like QR codes, or we advertise it at our festival, but I think we're not seeing that uplift in like customers really coming in store and then knowing that they can then shop online.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you have two distinct customer groups. You've got like the ones who only buy online but probably don't come into the shop.
Yep.
And then you have the ones that are only in the shop. Yeah, this one we're also familiar with. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, what we found is it's often younger customers who are buying online, and they might not have gotten as much into the concept of like charity retail shopping. And I think there are probably ways of having them do both. We have some ideas on that. Cool. I will carry on. We're going to play a game because we want to keep it kind of interactive. Not sure how many people are familiar with this particular game show, but I think most of us probably are, even me. So what I would like everybody to do is to get out their phones or join on their computer and scan this QR code. Basically, we're going to play a game show, and there is a prize. So there are high stakes here. It's not just a random game show. Let's see if I can get it started. Cool. All right. So everyone should see on their screen a picture of a printer or this slide. Slide should look something like this, I think. All right, we got 14 people here. We've got, I think, 17 in the call. So there's 3 of you missing. You can still catch up later. You can just use the code, and I'll also post it into the chat. We decided to do it a bit like this because, I don't know. I get the impression that many people are always watching some presentation somewhere. And and it's cool to actually engage. So we're going to try and price some items together. Enter your best guess. We'll see who's closest. The person who wins will actually win one of our printer tools, which, yeah, should be interesting. So let's get started. And let me know if it doesn't work. So we're going to try and guess the value of this Calvin Klein moleskin coat. Let's have a crack at it, as we would say in New Zealand. Let's see. I'm also going to just check what we've got going on here. Okay, cool. Just throw in a number. And or feel free to do some research, but this is you're in the charity shop environment, so maybe you're not super well on time as we might be here today. Cool. We've got 9 responses so far.
Mendes, Stephan, do you want resale value or original value?
Resale value.
Oh, okay.
For context, the two we've picked for this have just like been pulled from Irish retailers' online stores.
Right.
So pre-loved items.
Got that one wrong.
If we can adjust your answer at some point. Sorry for not being clear on that one. Yeah, this is like what you could get for it, and this is it'll be a point of discussion, what you could get for it in the shop and what you could get for it online. So we've got 11 responses. I'm going to give a last couple of seconds for the remaining participants. And let's have a look. All right, so let's see. So we have quite a mix. 15, 650. That might have been you, Ronan. Okay.
Yeah, so in my shops.
Yeah, 650. That sounds good. Let's raise some money. As you can tell, like quite a broad variance here. So let's see what it's actually worth. Enable Ireland, 30 euros. Interesting that we have quite such a variance, right? So what is it actually worth? Who knows, right? Let's try again. Let's try with something a bit fancier. And I know we also handle brick and so on. We're just focusing on fashion for simplicity. Let's try for these heels, size 7.5. Few more answers. There's a printer at stake. Nice. I think we're about the same. I think there are a few people who aren't responding. That's all good. So let's have a look then, hey? Few clustering around 45, 350. Some people going up, 565, 35. We have a bit of a cluster running sort of at least in the double digits. Let's have a look. Also from the Vision Ireland eBay store, 37.50. So I know we're operating in euros here, so I guess we can go up slightly, but we're still looking. It's tricky to understand, and I know that I think Jordan, you used Minimist and did some research here. Like this price is not too far away, considering their condition. Yeah, keep me honest here.
The goal of this exercise isn't to critique, the charity's pricing. It's more just a great explanation and a jump off point for what we're going to talk about now, which is pricing, even for very experienced retailers and experienced volunteers in shops, can be a lot of guesswork, and maintaining any level of accuracy for one-of-a-kind items just requires a fair bit of research, which is, I guess, a lead into how can that research be done super quickly. So you guys, I guess, protect margins across thousands and thousands of items, whether it's in-store or online.
Yeah. Nice. So we had someone with 35. I think they would probably be the winner of this one. And then we had, I guess the closest person would have been 50. I think we had maybe two 50s. But if someone, or am I crazy? We don't, because we didn't ask for your names in the responses. So please just put your name in the chat if you have won a printer. We're giving away 2, right, Jordan?
Yeah, we'll just basically mail it. It's a tool that helps you print some smart labels, which Stephan will also show a bit later on.
Yes. Cool. Thank you guys for playing. I hope you enjoyed it. It's also a cool tool that you can use with your teams. This tool, it's called Mentimeter. And we found it to be great for engaging. So yeah, let's carry on a little bit. We're going to tell you more about the problems we know about, and we've talked about accurate pricing. Many of you guys will be familiar also with online listing tools. We are also one of those. So yeah, we're trying to solve both e-commerce and in-store issues with different kinds of machine learning. So we have a price checking tool that I'll be happy to demo. It automates pricing research, kind of like a superpower Google Lens. Then we have a tool also, which is very simple to use, that automates online listings. And we have some tech to also improve the quality of the listings, which is also very useful for improving online revenue. We have some customers who are using Minimist to do pricing research on about 80 items per hour, which sounds maybe for some too little and some very fast. But that's a little bit the kind of idea of what we're doing. I'll demonstrate this briefly. You have an app, runs on any Android or iOS smartphone, doesn't have to be an expensive one. You can scan and then label items very quickly. The tagging part is optional. Many customers just use it for pricing, but it can also be useful. The tool is used for brick, furniture, doing it for books, toys, like you name it. And it kind of takes away the guesswork that especially volunteers might do. We found it to be very effective at removing around 90% of the effort. Now, the same app can also be used for putting things on eBay, and we have a custom integration with Vinted, which has proven to be very popular. When you're taking a picture of the item, we can automatically create the listing, and I'll demonstrate that briefly. Maybe I can join the call, actually. And we also have an online solution, as I mentioned, that generates the models or like humans that wear the items. And we've seen this make a big difference to the sell-through online. I'm going to quickly join from my phone and give a little demonstration of how the app works. Let's see if I can do that. Like so. Maybe someone can let me in, if that's all right. All right, I'm going to present a bit from my phone. Can everyone see my phone screen?
Yeah, looks good, mate.
We can see that.
Nice. So this is how our app works. So it's quite simple. It's just a mobile app you download. I'll put it into the pricing mode because I think it's relevant for us. And I prepared a few items here in my home. I've got this very cool retro ski suit that I've been wearing a little bit recently. So let's see if we can try that one out. I'm basically taking pictures of items, and one thing that I'm also doing is I will like often record a voice note or provide additional context. I can't actually do that right now because I'm in the phone call, but what you can basically do is just type or speak and say, okay, there are some marks here. It smells a bit funny, or maybe giving more information about the brand. Basically, just augmenting the product. And you can do multiple items in a row. I think this is a really critical component. This enables that super fast speed of 80 plus items per hour, because and I know I'm kind of doing this a bit haphazard, but you don't have to wait for each item to be finished. You can do it in batches of up to 50, which makes a big difference. All right, so here I'll start with my third item. Let's see what we've got here. Some shirts of mine. And then we will review. So we can see here, this is a one-piece ski suit. I originally paid 90 euros for it. So I think this is quite a fair price. It's done the pricing research for me automatically. And because we've organized, we have a system of routing items between shops and the e-commerce hub. So this basically just says, hey, this is a more expensive item. It's probably going to sell better on eBay or Vinted. So let's send it to ecom. Then you can print a label for it automatically and move on to the next item. So here we have my Ralph Lauren shirt. It's identified the model and it thinks it was worth 28 euros. I think that's an accurate price. I think originally I paid around 25 euros for it secondhand. And as you can see, we're also informing them that this is an item that's often faked. So we're trying to kind of do decision support for the customer, for the volunteers, to make sure that they kind of handle the item correctly. So I'll say, maybe I want to sell this one in store. And here's my, this is another shirt. This one I got for 10 euro originally. So I think it's also an accurate price. I'll say sell in store. And that's how the pricing works, right? So you're just basically going through bam, 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 bam. We automate the pricing research and we'll tell you a bit about how that works. If we then want to look at that item, or maybe I can find a different one that we scanned earlier. This is the listing mode. This is where you can automatically put items on Vinted and eBay at the same time. It's simple. We also have a web version on the computer. And here you can see that we've also generated the model. So this lovely lady is wearing the actual item, which is very efficient at bringing more eyeballs, because on Vinted you really have to stand out. And that's where, we've seen this drive somewhere between 20 and 90% more traffic, depending on the item type. It makes a big difference. Just in terms of timing, I'm going to close the demo and exit this call. Again here, hope that worked for everybody. Bit of a transition. So thanks for checking out the demo. I'm sure you probably have questions. So feel free to just sing them out in the chat. We've seen this flow work really well for volunteers of all ages, especially those who aren't necessarily super tech affine, right? It's sort of a bit of an art form to build software for people who maybe don't like software very much. But now we're focusing, we've sort of taken our success in Europe and parts of the UK and focusing on Ireland and also Northern Ireland. So we are familiar with the pound and the euro, let me put it that way. So I want to talk a bit about why you would do this and not just use something like Google Lens. It's probably the most common way of doing it at the moment. Is your volunteers will use Google or Google Lens to try and identify the item. The challenge that Google Lens has is it's only looking at the image itself, and you can only look for one image. And so you don't get a very good idea of whether this item is actually really expensive or really cheap. And Google Lens is therefore sort of what we've found, certainly with our customer base and the research that we've done. It's a bit of a soup, and there are a lot of red herrings in it. For example, like you saw before I was scanning the label, we factor in like country of origin into the pricing, and three different but very similar looking Levi's jackets have actually completely different values. And this is something that Google Lens is unlikely to pick up on, and you might pick up on if you're an experienced pricer, but those aren't always super available. Seasonality is also obviously a thing, and we'd like to think that everyone prices seasonally. If you look at this item as value on eBay, it's not actually worth the 43.37 all year round. So obviously in winter it's worth more, and in summer it's less. And so you need to factor all of these things in also. And that's also something that's not super obvious maybe to someone who's not experienced at pricing, or someone who's just relying on Google Lens. We've seen charities use very simplistic pricing guides. It's great for bargain hunters, but not for your bottom line. And so, we really think that factoring all these different things like bias and season, the different value perceptions, the location as well. So, if the item's being sold in Belfast, maybe it has a slightly different value than in Newry or in Ballyclare. So factoring all of these things in is much easier when you have a software tool that actually sort of spits out the price. We have built a sort of custom tool that looks through online sold listings and looks at multiple of their attributes in order to determine whether or not they are a relevant item. And so we have quite a cool combination of image search as well as looking at the titles and descriptions, quasi the attributes of the item. And this combination is the most effective. I think I already spoke a little bit about how Google Lens does it, right? So they're doing essentially a pattern match on the image attributes itself using something we call visual embeddings. Visual embeddings on their own are not a good predictor of unique items. And as the same, like maybe some of you are familiar with Terapeak or the eBay pricing research tool, can also be tricky because often they are looking at titles and descriptions, which also don't provide a full picture. So you can have a diesel jacket that's worth anywhere from, as you see here, £1 to £380, and that just distorts heavily the actual pricing recommendations. Yes, so this noise isn't really needed. As I mentioned before, we also are factoring location of the shop because we are able to see the location of the sold item, and we are able to customize the pricing suggestions based on what we think might be possible in that region. So if you have a socioeconomic area where the prices are lower, maybe you price under the market, and same, you could price above. So this is, sort of the big thing that we've seen, huge time savings, somewhere between 5 to 8 minutes per item. Some people obviously, and some charities are just pricing really fast. Maybe you have someone who's been in the industry for 20 or 30 years and knows it completely in and out. But that's usually more the exception than the rule. And the software we've built is really empowering for staff and volunteers. We've had great responses from people. I was in the Republic of Ireland in County Clare a couple of weeks ago, and we've got a customer there. She has volunteers around 60, 65 who are using Minimist. They leapt on it straight away and have just been totally engaged with the app, which is super cool to see. We're as we are developing our software further, it's starting to get more and more accurate because we also get feedback from our customers when the prices are wrong, and we've learned to sort of over time update the model. Yes, I think I've said many of these things already, so I'll move forward a little bit. What else do we have to talk about? The labels are also quite useful. So we do. We have a QR code-based system as well as barcodes. We also have an API that different point of sale providers can integrate with. We are not a point of sale provider, but we like the the data that we produce is quite standardized, like EANs. And so it's usually relatively plausible that your EPOS provider would be able to integrate with our pricing and recommendation solution. We've seen some other good benefits of this because we have the actual description of the item printed on the label. It reduces label swapping and makes it a bit trickier to steal the item, or at least from a label swapping perspective. And there's a lot of advantages to having relatively good inventory management as well. The stores that are using AI pricing experience somewhere between 3 and 6% revenue lift per store. That might not sound like that much, but across your network, you might find that it is. And yeah, like that's, I think, speaks for itself. So yeah, I'm going to take a brief pause because it's a lot of content. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, we've got time for a question or two for Stephan. Anybody? No. Okay, great. So
I have.
Go on.
It was just, what's the cost model? How, what would it cost charity shop to run something like this? Is it a percentage in relation to the item that's sold, or is there a fixed fee for monthly usage, or the amount of items that go through? How do you make your money from it, I suppose?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we don't take a commission. We charge a monthly fee. It's like you can get started in the order of around £99. That £99 usually covers 1, maybe 2 shops, depending on how much you want to check. Obviously, customers don't price check or list items that are clearly rag. They're usually checking stuff that maybe they're unsure about. Starts at around £99 a month, and then we have some customers spending, £1,000+ a month because it's sort of scaled, and they're using it in their e-commerce hub and many of their shops. But it's kind of like a fixed fee, and we usually also provide some support within that fixed fee. Yeah, it's quite fair. Like, I think we're pretty familiar with the charity market, and we know that charging too much without having sort of clear results for the charity is not a good way of doing it. And we try and sort of have a fair entry model where, as your revenue grows, we also start to earn a bit more.
Okay, thank you.
And we also offer a free trial period.
One question in the chat from Catherine Stephan about, does the AI tool add the model to the listings automatically?
Yes, it does. So I think I'm sharing this on the screen. So within, and I didn't, I think I showed it before, but not with the ski shoot, because that's in the pricing mode. So you don't add the models when you're in the pricing mode because it's just a waste of compute and money, right? But if you're trying to list on eBay or Vinted, this is embedded in the process. It takes about 10 seconds, which is the same time as everything else. And then you can see the model, and if you like it, you can change it. And then it gets injected into Vinted and eBay. So yes, Catherine, it does add to the listing automatically.
Okay. So I think that's it in terms of time. Thank you very much, you guys, for doing that and having the courage to do an online demo from your phone whilst presenting on Zoom. This is very impressive. And I can concur that we've had some really good feedback from our members on your product. So really good, really interesting to see it in action like that. So thank you very much. We're only 5 minutes behind. What I suggest we do is take a bit of a comfort break, coffee and loo and whatever else is needed, and reconvene at 11:30. And then we'll get on with the next session. So just stay online. It's probably easier if you just stay online and shut off your video and mute. And I'll see you at 11:30.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And if you want to try Minimist, you can just scan the QR code here as well. I'll get that in. I think I ran a bit over time. Cheers, Robin.
Thanks, Steph.
Cheers.